Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at the Self Connection again. I'm Kelly Pietro. I'm here with Ginny Brown, and we've got some great questions for the multitude today.
Yes, Kelly will be asking me questions and I will be channeling the answers from a group known as the Multitude of the Greater Good. They have information they have information from the day of creation to the present, plus what it is that each one has chosen to accomplish in this lifetime. They are a group of healers and teachers, and I know I always get something out of what they have to say, and I hope you do too.
All right, Jenny. So, did you want to start with a quick meditation today?
Oh, sure. Let's see what the multitude has to say. If everyone would just please take a deep breath and just allow yourself to just be. We are the ones who have allowed ourselves to be in the presence of those on the earth plane in order to allow our interpretation of being, in our estimation. Our knowledge is most beneficial to each of you in one way or another, and we are able to expand ourselves also. In our estimation, we would like you to understand that you are on the earth plane for a reason. You have come to be you. You have come to expand you. You have come to allow you, and you have come to be the best you that you can be, and we are here to help. In our estimation, it is the only way one can be. It is important for one to be who one is, when one is, and all is love. Thank you for asking. Thank you for listening. And thank you for being you. And all is love. So just take another deep breath. And that was a good idea, Kelly, because I feel better already.
Good. Good. Ginny had a busy morning.
Crazy morning.
So what occurred to me as you were channeling that message was, I don't know why, is to see if they had questions for us, which is
that's a good
bizarre. We've never done that before, but that's what came to me as they were saying, we are the ones who are here to expand and learn with you. And it's like, we're always asking questions, but we never say, hey, all of you multitude and spirit, do you have any questions for us? I don't know why. I'm sure we always think they have all the wisdom, but they often do tell us that, like, you know, not to discount our experience here. So that's what occurred to me as you were channeling, to ask them, do they have any questions for us?
We do not, my dear. We are learning as you are learning. However, since our experience is limited to the spiritual realm, it's like our existence is quite different. Therefore, our questions would be unanswerable by those on the physical realm. Do not be concerned. We are most pleased to answer all of your questions to the best of our knowledge and the best of the information that we can access through not only our records, but yours as well. Do not be concerned. All is love.
Of course, that makes me want to know, like, well, what's unanswerable?
Those things that are unanswerable are those things of the spiritual nature and are not understandable on the earth plane.
Okay. All right. Well, we got that out of the way.
Yeah.
So, okay. I just had to tune in because I think we're going in a little bit of a different direction. As soon as they channel a message, it takes us somewhere else. So one of the things they just said was that they can access our records, including their records. And so one of the topics on my list is the Akashic records.
Okay.
And maybe as a starter, maybe the multitude in their words can explain. Well, we have our concept of what the Akashic records are in the human realm, which some of our viewers, that term might be new to them. So, okay, I'm just tuning in, like, what's the best way to do this? So I think for our viewers' sake, to explain what you and I understand the Akashic records to be, but then to ask the multitude, like, what is it that we don't know about the Akashic records? That's something new. So I think first, Ginny, for you and I to explain what we believe the Akashic records to be, our understanding of the Akashic records. Do you want to go first?
You put me on the spot here.
Well, I can go if you don't want to.
No, for me, the Akashic records is it's an energetic kind of response to all of our experiences, no matter whether we live them on the earth plane or in spirit or somewhere else. Our energetic selves can live on stars, they can live many other places. And all of those experiences are recorded. However, they're recorded within the self, the spiritual self that's still in spirit, as there's much more of us in spirit than that's on the earth plane. So it's an accumulation in my understanding of all the experiences that we have ever had and all of the knowledge that we have gained from those experiences. And it's all held in that part of our spiritual self, which is, I guess it's accessible on the spiritual level. And so it's held there.
I love that explanation. And I think a lot of people who've worked in the Akashic records often use the analogy of a library, right? It's not an actual library, but like we like to make spiritual concepts related to things we know in the human world. So a lot of people think of it as like this giant library and everyone has their own book. And in your book, you can access information from all the lifetimes you've ever lived, all of the
I see that book as the spiritual self and
yeah,
that's in spirit, but it's also accessible for, say, someone else to access that information. You know, if they're sincere and they're looking for, that spiritual self could be where everything is held, could be related to a book on the earth plane. So, and then each and all the books are there for each and every person. So you can go and access information if they let you.
yeah, permission. That's one of the things I always say, is like to keep ethics at the forefront of this work in asking permission. Just like you wouldn't just walk into someone's home and be like, wow, this is a really great tissue box you have. Where did you buy it? And like, oh, tell me about this that you have. And you wouldn't just like walk into someone's house and start exploring without first knocking and asking permission. But also, you can ask for permission on the spiritual level, right? It's always good to get it in the physical level. But like if someone's deceased, to ask on the spiritual level for permission. So yeah.
So what's your understanding of the Akashic records?
Yeah, very much. I mean, I think you and I are in line. It's like I think it's a human interpretation of how to access information on the soul level. So, like, if I'm working with a client, okay, Ginny, you're getting your way here now. We're just talking about Kelly, make sure you talk about your work. So here it is. Like if I'm working with a client and they come in with some sort of a complaint and I'm working with the energy of that complaint, there might be layers to it. And so depending on what's being revealed in order to move the energy, something might come in with like a past life resonance, right? Like, they've had all the tests and the doctors can't figure it out, but there's energy there clearly because they're having symptoms. Well, let's look at the root of the energy and how it was created and why it's there. What's causing this imbalance? And so oftentimes there's a past life component, right? Where they experienced, and it's usually an emotion, right? In a past life. And now here they are in this new life and they happen to experience a similar emotion, and it's like a vibrational resonance and an amplification. And so if you work with the energy in different levels and different layers, you can help to clear it. So it's been really helpful for me to understand that this person that is me right now, embodied as Kelly, I am a soul that has had several lifetimes in different places and timelines and different experiences. And that could be contributing to my current experience. And by accessing the Akashic records, which is to say, to work with myself on the soul level and understand the energy of the entire me,
Right.
That's me. I like to understand things. I'm moving further and further away from the understanding. But sometimes what I've noticed with clients is when you acknowledge that it's a past life energy, there's this thing that happens where they accept and allow that experience.
Right.
I'm hearing the word forgiven. And it's in the accepting and the allowing that the energy can move through, because what they've been doing is like fighting, like, why is my knee bothering me? I can't figure it out. And I've gone to this doctor and I've tried this and this herb and that medicine and blah, blah, blah. And they've been like not disallowing the energy. They're trying to like not allow it to be there. And then as soon as, it's not always the case, but sometimes when you can understand, oh, well, there's an energetic aspect to it that's came in from another lifetime. I shouldn't say came in, but it's resonating and amplified by energy from another lifetime. It's sometimes just saying that is like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense if they're open to it. And that, oh, is like this opening. And it's like opening the channel to allow the energy to move through. And that sometimes alone is enough to relieve.
Sometimes I think it also works the same way for fear and other feelings that you have, not necessarily a physical malady, but a feeling. And if you can feel that feeling and allow and accept it and allow it to heal itself, and just understand that you may not know the reason for it because it's a past life experience feeling, and just allow it to heal, it will.
Yeah, so like a great example of that I'll share is like one of my biggest fears that I tend to carry throughout this lifetime is like a fear of judgment, fear of persecution, which is probably why we're like recording all these and we still haven't published them. One day we will,
Yeah.
because like, there's this fear of, oh, are people going to think we're crazy? Are they going to have bad things to say about us? And, that fear is real, even though, we can look around us and say, well, tons of people are doing this type of stuff and people are more open to it and you're not going to get hung or burned, right?
Not in
But
the-
not in this lifetime. But the fear courses through you so much so that it feels like you could die. Like, and I've worked on it so much that it's not as intense anymore, but I could feel the intensity of that fear. And so, I don't know, working with you, Ginny, and the multitude, to learn that, like what you're saying, like to allow the feeling, right? A lot of times when fear comes in, we either fight, flight, or freeze, right? And that's like a way of disallowing the energy versus just allowing it to move through you and pass.
Yeah.
And I know for me, I tend to, my head gets in the way of the feeling. Like an uncomfortable feeling will come in, and as like a coping mechanism, I go straight to my head and I go, oh my gosh, what's that? Is it from another lifetime? Like I want to know. I need to understand it, because if I can understand it, then maybe I'll allow it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a delaying process. So
But
like,
you don't need to understand it. You just need to feel it.
yeah, but it's an old pattern for me.
Right?
My head gets in the way.
Yeah.
So, and I think that happens for a lot of people.
Well, yeah. One of my biggest fears was putting myself out there, let people know what I do, and be seen. So I've come a very long way in allowing myself to be seen and understanding that in this lifetime, I'm not going to get persecuted. I'm not going to get burned. I'm not going to get stoned. I'm not going to get whatever other thing that has ever happened to me in past lives. It's not going to happen in this one. And if people don't like it, then they just don't come, or they'll go somewhere else, or they'll turn off the video, or whatever it is that it is. But I'm still okay. So I had to allow that feeling, and there was no frame of reference for it in this lifetime. So I needed to understand where it came from, past lifetime, and I don't need to know what or why. I just need to know that there was a lot of fear there, and just to allow that fear to be. So I'm still on it a bit, but I'm much better.
Jen. You and me both. We're in it together, I guess.
Yeah. I wonder how many lifetimes we've lived together.
Yeah, me too, actually. And there's that resonance. It can go both ways, the positive and the negative. Like the fact that you and I probably have had several lifetimes together, that when we're together, the energy that resonates is a positive and a joyous one.
Yeah.
Which is also healing and transformative.
True.
Okay, so that long, well, I think we needed it, but that long understanding of the Akashic records. What would the multitude say about the Akashic records that would be good for us to know, perhaps something we don't yet know?
We would like you to understand that as you move forward, you are creating more energy, more information, more allowance of love and being. All that is recorded. There is also that part of one that is in disdain of oneself. That disdain that comes from being unable to accept other parts of self from other parts of self. There are those parts that say, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. And in our estimation, disallowing that each one operates from the best self that they have, the best self that they can be, the best knowledge that they know at the time. And as they keep moving forward, they keep allowing themselves to heal those things that are no longer important. There are many things that one has done over in many lifetimes that one could misconstrue as a negative in our estimation. It is a learning process. It is all a learning process. When one learns what one does or does not like, one is able to allow oneself to move forward. Each of these experiences is recorded, and each of these experiences, in our estimation, is able to be healed and cleared, not necessarily from the record, but from the emotional aspect of one's being. Sometimes they manifest as a fear. Sometimes they manifest as a physical disability or a physical pain or a physical abnormality. It does not matter. What matters is that one acknowledges that one has allowed oneself to be the best one that one can be at the time one is able to be it, in our estimation. The records encompasses all of one's experiences. However, there is no positivity or negativity assigned or involved. Do not be concerned. When one allows oneself to be, it is the greatest gift to not only oneself, but to the all that is. Do not be concerned, all is love.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add or ask to expand on that?
Not really. I've already told you my explanation or definition of the Akashic records, so it's all enclosed in that.
So, okay, well, let's talk about then how, I mean, you and I are practiced in accessing the Akashic records. We do that together monthly and how to work with them. But maybe for our viewers, a simple exercise, tool, strategy that would be good for them to know in accessing the records, or yeah, I guess accessing and while in, let's say while in the records, but it's really just being yourself, shifting the energy that they're talking about. How they've said, you don't clear anything from the records, but you can kind of shift the emotional aspect of what's going on. So was that a clear question or no?
No, but I don't think you shift the emotional energy. I think if you can bring whatever it is that they're looking for forward, you allow them the opportunity to switch the energy. Because we're not really doing any of the healing work. Each one does their own healing work. And sometimes it takes a little bit more information on the earth plane, but mostly it takes the feeling on the earth plane. And then they are allowed to do their own healing, because all we can do is bring through the energy and allow them to access it or not.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was going, like for our viewers who maybe aren't working with a practitioner like you or myself, for them on their own to access their own record. And what would be advice or guidance of how to do that from the multitude?
We can tell you each one has access to their own information. However, each one on the earth plane is unaware that they are able to access their own information. They can allow themselves to be on the earth plane. They cannot, however, allow themselves to understand that there is much more to themselves than meets the eye. We can tell you in our estimation, each one has the ability, if one will sit quietly and allow oneself to be who one is, allow oneself to understand there is no right or wrong, there is only being, allow oneself to know that they are responsible for being the best that they can be, no matter what that is. We would highly recommend that each one sit quietly 3, 4, 5 times a day, 3, 4, 5 minutes a time. It does not matter. One does not need to sit for hours. One just needs to sit and breathe. And when one allows the energy to come through, one will allow themselves to heal. It does not matter if one knows on the mental level what is being healed. What matters is that one allow oneself to access oneself. And that is how we express our knowledge of completing that process. Do not be concerned. When one moves forward in love of self, there is nothing else one can do, just allow oneself to be. And that is the greatest gift that one can give oneself. Sit quietly, breathe quietly, and allow oneself to be. Does not matter what the mind self does. It does not matter what the mind self says. Just allow oneself to be, allow oneself to breathe, and allow oneself to go and grow, and all is love.
I love what they're saying, and hopefully what everyone's getting from this is like, I think there's so much hype around, ooh, the Akashic records and accessing the Akashic records, and I think what they're trying to emphasize is like how simple it really is. I think oftentimes people expect a very psychic experience, a clairvoyant experience, you know. Yeah, sure, it's fun to say, yeah, I sat and I intended to connect with the Akashic records, and I saw, you know, ancient Egypt. I had a life in ancient Egypt, and I was a princess, or I don't know. Like, that's glamorous and fun, but it's so not necessary. It's very simple to literally sit, close your eyes, breathe, and just intend to connect to your Akashic records, and maybe set the intention to move forward. And that's it. And just breathe.
Yeah,
And you might feel like a feeling, an emotion arise, and to allow that emotion, not, oh my gosh, what is that? Let me, tears are coming. Let me stop. Why is this happening? No, just allow it. Right.
right. And I think too, sometimes people are looking for the word or the answer or whatever. And maybe they have a situation going on in their life that they don't quite know how to handle. And will make the decision. However, if they sit quietly and just allow that and allow themselves to connect with themselves on the earth plane, with themselves in spirit, which is what happens when you sit quietly and breathe, and allow the mind to just go, don't pay any attention to it. Just allow yourself to breathe. That answer will come. If not immediately, you will allow it to come when the time is right. However, the key, as Kelly was saying, is in the allowing.
Yeah.
The breathing and the allowing.
Maybe the multitude can add, what does disallowing look like in the human realm?
Wow, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
When one disallows oneself to be, one experiences many things that are unplanned and unappreciated. There could be those parts of self that are interested in growing and are stunted. Therefore, one cannot move beyond. One allows oneself to just be where they are with no new knowledge, no new understanding, no new love of self. When one allows oneself to disallow, one cannot grow. One cannot understand that there is more to life than one sees at the moment. One cannot understand there is more to oneself than that one can see at the moment. We can tell you it manifests in very many different ways. It can manifest as a disability. It can manifest as a physical malady. It can manifest in many ways. However, there are also very many other reasons for physical disabilities and physical maladies that are quite misunderstood. When one allows oneself to be who one is, one allows oneself to weather the storm, so to speak, in a higher and greater way, and heal and clear those emotional upsets that one has experienced, whether it be this lifetime or any other. When one moves forward in love of self, one allows oneself to just be, to allow oneself to be who one is when one is, and one allows oneself to move forward in a higher and greater way, therefore allowing the body to heal, allowing the emotion to heal, and allowing the love of self and others to progress and expand what I'm seeing is like, it's kind of like, a mushroom cloud when you see it. It starts here and then it expands into a big area. So when one allows oneself to feel all those feelings and heal those things, it allows the experience to help oneself expand. But that's what I saw. That's the picture I saw anyway.
So I was taking notes as you were channeling. So there's some clear signs of what disallowing looks like and what allowing looks like. And I feel like this is so important to cover because the multitude uses that term a lot, allow. So disallowance looks like stagnancy, right? Like not going anywhere in life.
Yeah.
It can look like hopelessness. It can look like physical maladies, although they made an important distinction that physical maladies are not always a sign of disallowing,
Right.
but it can be that. Whereas allowing looks like healing, moving forward, expansiveness, new knowledge, new learning, a lack of self-judgment, like when you can love yourself,
Right.
versus if you're judging yourself or down on yourself in any way, which can look like self-deprecation, I think.
Right.
That's disallowing versus self-love of and self-forgiveness of, oh, well, I was late again. Well, that sucks, but it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? Or I don't know, when you're down on yourself in any way, judging yourself, shoulding on yourself, that's disallowing. When you're forgiving yourself, finding forgiveness and okay with what's going on that maybe in the past you would have judged. And then just general happiness feels like allowing. So it's like the lower vibrations, the sinking feelings is the disallowing often, and the joyous expansiveness is a sign that you're allowing.
Yeah,
That's what I take away from that.
yeah, I like that explanation.
It's pretty simple, right?
It is simple, but it's not always easy.
I know, but it's good to like have these simplified, like to talk about it in this way so that we can reference it
Right.
as we move forward. I think as people continue to learn about this stuff and grow, it's like forming the foundation, you know.
Sometimes it's a place to begin.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, anything more on that, Kelly?
I don't think so. What do you think?
No, I think we've kind of covered that pretty well.
Should we do another time?
Saying, oh, we have one more thing to add.
Oh, please.
That when it is that one allows oneself to be, it does not matter whether one is moving forward or backward or sideways or round in circles. It just doesn't matter. And what matters is that one is moving. It is the movement that helps one grow. It is the movement that allows one to expand oneself. And we are most appreciative that you have given us this opportunity to clarify. And all is love.
They're so polite. Like really.
Yes.
So it's interesting then I think about the multitude as these souls in spirit who are learning and growing through this interaction even and moving themselves forward, because they've said that before. Thank you for helping us to move. We've chosen to be here so that we may move ourselves forward. Right? And so perhaps in their interaction with us, they're also allowing themselves some sort of growth.
Yes.
I don't know. Do they want to say anything about that to give us more insight on their experience of this type of interaction?
We have allowed ourselves to experience much. We have also allowed ourselves to expand ourselves in such a way as one cannot understand on the earth plane. However, we are most appreciative of the experience of, it's like allowing in the 21st century is quite different from allowing from many of the different lifetimes that we have lived, as each century, each year brings forth new energy, new love, new being, and we are most open to the, it's like the ambitious energy of being, do not be concerned, all is love.
Oh, okay. Well, I've never heard them say anything about that before. How
No,
would they describe the energy of 2023?
it is important to understand that there is much happening in 2023 that it's like it's happening behind the scenes. No one is really aware of it. There are those on the earth plane who can feel the change, those on the earth plane who are able to move themselves forward, and those on the earth plane who are growing and opening to who they are. We are most pleased and most excited in this change of energy, this change of understanding, this change of allowing, and all is love. We would like you to understand that as it is that each one allows oneself the opportunity to grow and expand, each one contributes to the all that is, allowing each and every other one the same opportunity. It is quite beautiful indeed, and all is love. And as I was channeling that, I could feel the excitement, the energy of it all. That was great.
Not only that, but there's like a lag that's going on. Like it's tripping up. I don't know if it's the energy that you're channeling or if it's your Wi-Fi, but it was freezing, but then it was like making your voice really, really fast. So we got everything you said, but it like, I don't know, was that the energy you were channeling that was
The
doing that?
energy, because the energy was speaking very fast, and I could feel it all in my body. There's a lot of energy coming through, and it didn't freeze on my end. So
Well, when you watch the replay,
yeah,
if it records that way, you'll have to see, like, because your voice was like,
yeah,
really,
that was them. That wasn't me. That was their excitement.
okay. So lots of excitement in 2023. Yeah, you know me, I love specifics because I have that curious mind, but they like to keep it general on that. And I think it's important for our viewers to know, like, that is a sign that the messages being channeled are very high vibration. So I think about, okay, I wasn't planning on talking about this, but I feel like it might be important. And actually maybe then the multitude can talk to it. But like mediumship, I feel like when you're asking for mediumship, right, to connect to a passed on loved one, and you're connecting to that single aspect of their self that you knew in a single lifetime, you're really connecting to, like, a lot of times mediums connect to the ego self, right, just that personality,
Yeah,
and not necessarily their soul, which would give you information like why they incarnated, what they were here to learn, what they contracted, right? A lot of mediums often will channel just their personality. Like, oh my gosh, it was totally him. He said this thing that he always said, and you could feel his personality. And I feel like that's like the ego self. But when
that's not
Ginny,
bad. That's
and
not
that's not bad. No, it's just different, right?
right.
And I've seen Ginny do that before, but Ginny can channel, I'm going to call it a high vibration because that's how our human minds, we do this hierarchy, but it's really just different. If you want to take the hierarchy away, I think Ginny often channels at the level of not the ego self. Yes, she can, but tends to do more like on the soul level, and the multitude is even like, when I say high vibration, I'm talking about frequency. I don't mean like high, you're up on a pedestal and it's the best thing. It's just different.
Mhm.
But as humans, we tend to create this hierarchy. But so what's interesting to know is, and what I've learned working with different mediums, going for different readings and different types of intuitive people, is that you know that you're working with someone who channels a very high vibration when specifics aren't given and when free will is honored, right? Like you can go to someone and say, what job should I take, this one or that one? And if they say, oh, this one, well, they've just taken free will away. So that's a denser energy. They're working with your ego self versus, you know, it doesn't, like the multitude would answer, it doesn't matter which one you choose because you're going to learn either way. And what's important is that you do learn, and you can learn it this way or you can learn it that way. It doesn't really matter. So the fact that, you know, I'm always like, I love this, is my ego, right? My ego loves the details and information and, you know, what is the vibration of 2023? You know, give it to me in one word. And they're like, it's a lot of things, you know. They keep it at a very high vibration. So it's good. It keeps me in check. It definitely doesn't always satisfy the ego, but I think it does honor what is in our highest and best in order to move forward when they don't get to that nitty-gritty level. I don't know, Ginny, do you want to say anything else about that?
Well, I think sometimes they will tell you, but more often they will tell you to, it's like, what do you want? They'll tell you to know what you want. What do you need? And it's honoring the free will. It's also honoring the self, and that the self is important, that you're important, and what you need and what you want is important. It's not so much what another wants or another needs. It's for you to know more about you. And from that vantage point, knowing about you, then you can make the decisions for what it is on the earth plane that you need and want. Or you know, take this job or that job, whatever, but it's all within you.
Yeah, I love it. It's very empowering because they put the power back in your hands. Like,
Right.
no, like don't look to us for answers. You have the answers.
Exactly.
And I think it's a really more empowering way to work with channeled energy. Do they have anything they want to say about that? Or sorry, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that, you know, they want you to know you so that you can make your choices. But also in knowing you, you allow yourself to connect with yourself and spirit and allow the information through. It's not just your mind self working. It's, you know, when you know what you want, you know what you need, and you can just sit and breathe, you can allow the information that you need to come through too. So,
Yeah, I definitely, it's so funny because at the end of my client sessions, the part where they're on the table and we've wrapped up, you can just see a noticeable calm about them. Obviously, they're resting on the table, but I usually do like a marker before whatever we've talked about. I'll say, okay, how does it feel 1 to 10 right now about this issue that we just talked about? And I'll be like, 10, you know, and then we'll do the energy work. And then afterwards I'll do kind of, how do you feel now? Oh, it's more like a 7 now. And I'll always say, you did that. You did that. You don't need me. All you need to do is just connect and allow. And
well, I think
people
sometimes
aren't ready for it, but
I think sometimes they do need us to help them relax and connect. I think a lot of people don't understand that they can do it on their own, or they don't understand how they do it on their own. But I think they come and they also kind of connect with our energy, relax with our energy. I think they need the energetic connection in order to allow themselves to connect with themselves. They can do it on their own, but I think, you know, It's the not knowing. It's
Yeah. Yeah, they don't know it yet. I think for me, like the ultimate sign of that I've really helped someone is that they've outgrown the need for me, that they can say like, no, I can do this myself. I mean, don't get me wrong. More than anyone, Ginny, when I'm in a down place, I come to you, right? So, and it is super helpful. So to know also that you're not alone, to be able to go to people who are skilled in helping you kind of turn things around. But for the day to day, to know that you can do it yourself.
Yeah, but I think you just said something. I think it's important that when you're in a growth process like that, that you're in a group or with friends who are also in that growth process. And sometimes when you grow and others don't, first of all, you feel different. You feel maybe stuck or left out of that group. But you're moving on and you need to experience life with people who are also making the changes that you are. I think that it's important to have that support from not just me or you or whoever they choose to talk to, but also from others who are going through some of the same processes.
Yeah, for sure. Because, it does feel like true support when someone, when you see those people in your group growing and wanting to improve and open to insights, is really, and I think when you do that in a group, it's like even more powerful, strength in numbers, right? Which is why I love, Ginny, your group experiences that you have, right? Your conversations with the multitude. Because now everyone's sitting in a circle, which I think there's something really powerful about a circle. And they're all having their individual experience, but together it creates this collective experience. It's making me think sacred geometry. Yeah.
For me, I don't know too much about the sacred geometry, but I do know that I like a circle and I like the flow of energy in a circle. And I like that each one has access to each and every other one in a circle.
Yeah.
It just works better for me. I'm much more comfortable that way.
I wonder, well, I have two, I'm oscillating for my next question then between asking about that or asking about, well, maybe it's both. If they wanted to add anything to the concept we were talking about before about channeling at different vibrations, the ego self, versus the higher level vibration that honors free will. If they wanted to add anything about that, and then maybe I'll ask about circles and sacred geometry.
It is important to understand that each part of oneself is important. Whether one calls it the ego or one calls it the spirit, it does not matter. What is important that each one attain each part of themselves, as the ego is quite required for living on the earth plane. One cannot move forward on the earth plane without an ego. One needs to know who one is and what one's strengths are or are not on the earth plane. It is also important to understand that one works in combination with oneself on the physical and oneself in spirit. And when that happens, it's like a winning recipe for success. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Awesome. I love it. Okay. That kind of ties a bow around the last topic, but since we're moving into this other topic, when I said it makes me think of sacred geometry, because I saw like at your house when we have circle, right? And then I saw sometimes it's 5 people, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 20, right? But so that's different points of interest. And so the visual I got was sacred geometry, where sometimes it's like I actually even have it as my background, so I can like use it as a reference to describe better. Like maybe there's like a circle with a triangle in it, but then maybe there's just different points around the circle, and when they are connected, they make their own unique shape. And I had sacred geometry and symbols on my list. So let's first ask about the difference in energy when it comes to sitting in circle and growing together as a group versus doing it on your own. If they have anything to share.
Do you have a question about that?
Yeah, can they share the difference in experience of working to grow on your own versus working together in a circle with a supportive group?
It is important to understand that both are necessary. When one is able to allow oneself to connect with oneself, one is able to stand straight and tall in one's own shoes. And when one is in a group, one is able to share oneself and share what one knows. And in so doing, helps each and every other one in the group, and vice versa. It is important to understand that when one moves forward from the place of knowing who one is able to allow oneself this growth. It does not matter what one believes, where one is. It just matters that one knows, I am this, that, or the other thing, and I am no better or no worse than anyone else. I just am where I am. And that is how it works. When one understands that one is quite fine the way one is able to step up the process, so to speak, and allow the growth required to expand oneself, to grow to a higher level of being, a higher level of self and understanding, and a higher level of allowing oneself the ability to be who one is. We would highly recommend that each one take advantage of both the alone parts and the group parts, as it is essential that each one experience both. And in that so doing, there is a greater allowing of self, learning, love, and care. Do not be concerned, all is well.
Okay, so it's not necessarily, this is a follow-up question. It's not necessarily that the energy is amplified in groups. It has to do more with a self-experience.
It is important that each one understand that each one brings each one's own energy. And in combination with others' energy, there is a great deal more energy available. That is truth. However, it is not necessarily an impetus for growth. It is just a matter of understanding. It's like the geometry or the ability. It's like the multiplication or the amplification of energy, because there is just more of it.
Okay. My mind's going. I got a lot going through my mind now, because of course, and I don't know that we have time for it today. Well, maybe, I don't know. Do you want to keep going or?
I know you have to be somewhere, so.
Okay, well, okay. So where my mind goes is to like collective practices of, I don't know, think about collective groups with a single shared intention and how that might magnify into manifestation. And so then, of course, because it's on my mind anyway and it's on my list, I think of ancient Egypt. And
it is important to understand that it is not the magnification of the energy within the group. It is the acceptance of oneself. If one is able to share one's own energy, one is able to allow oneself to feel or understand another's energy. However, the energy and the work is done within oneself. It does not matter who is there, how many is there. If one is open to allowing oneself to be who one is able to expand oneself. It does not matter so much about, a group it's like, the way I'm understanding this is it's like, it doesn't matter if there's a whole group of people or if there's just one other person. It is the individual person who is doing the growth and the healing. And it does not matter if anyone else is involved. However, we can tell you, if one believes that there is a problem, there is a problem. And if one believes that the energy is helpful, one is able to open to the energy of oneself in a higher and greater way. Do not be concerned. It does not matter. It just is within that person's own belief process that things are created and disallowed. Do not be concerned. All is love.
Okay, wait, I feel like you got more than I did just because you were channeling it. What were you feeling?
It's like, it was like, it touched on one's belief process. And that's what I connected to out of that. It's like, yeah, because they're always saying, if you believe there's a problem, there's a problem.
So, okay, I'm not going to Egypt now. I'm going to stay with this.
Yes.
The power of prayer. Okay, so like I think about how 50 people could be praying for the healing of one person, right? And then whether that person is healed or not, it's up to the person.
Right.
Okay.
If they're open to that energy and open to the allowing, but if they're cut off and not interested, that energy, that my understanding is it will stay there. The good intentions, the prayer, the healing that's sent will stay there until that person is ready to accept it.
And then if they step into the allowing,
Right.
is it that like, okay, so this is like mechanics, but if they step into the allowing and a ton of prayers and healing has been sent, miraculous healing can be had. But if they only step into it a little bit and a ton of prayers and healing, then only a little bit of healing will happen.
It is important that if it is that you frame it in that way, it is a slow process. However, if it is that one's heart is open to oneself, one will allow exactly what is required in order for that one to move forward. Sometimes a great deal is sent and only, it's like only so much of it can be digested by that person. Therefore, one can only go as far as one allows oneself based on what one's requirements of being, what one's, it's like what one's come to accomplish. Sometimes one needs to experience an experience in order to allow themselves to accomplish what they've chosen to accomplish. In our estimation, my dear, it is quite right to understand that there is a great deal of success with healing. However, the recipient is in charge of the healing process. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Okay, so I love that because totally goes with what I believe. All those prayers and energy that is sent, that is available, if it's never received, where does it go?
It is important to understand that it goes nowhere. It just stays until that person, it's like it's directed toward that person. It will just stay until that person is ready to accept it, whether it be on the physical level or the spiritual level. Sometimes one cannot allow oneself to accept all the love that has been shown and given on the physical plane, but will allow it on the spiritual plane. Therefore, much healing is completed in the spiritual plane. Do not be concerned. One allows what is required when it is required, and all is love.
So is it possible for a soul to allow it in a future lifetime? So in other words, well, you get what I'm saying.
It is important to understand that when one allows oneself to heal on the spiritual level, it is no longer required on a future, so to speak, lifetime. Healing is healing, and it occurs when it occurs. And if it is that one allows it to heal on the spiritual level, which 99.9% of the time does, there is no need for it in another lifetime of being.
Well, what's the 0.1% then?
There are those things that cannot be healed. There are those things that need to be processed. And when one is allowing oneself to be healed, that is one thing. And then there is that 0.1% that needs to be processed, whether it be on the earth plane or elsewhere. Processing is that 0.1%.
Got it. Okay, so on the flip side, we're talking about prayer and healing and all this love and light. What about poor intentions, like bad intentions? So we would label it bad, right? And so some of that looks like in your own mind or your own cursing someone out, or right? It's like that's energy directed towards a person.
It is important to understand that it is the receiver of that energy to either accept it or disallow it. And 99% of the time it is disallowed. It is that 1% that causes havoc. It is that 1% that causes grief. Therefore, it is very much important for each one to know who they are, when they are, and when it is that each one decides that it is a learning process required. One will take that negative energy and allow it to, it's like, penetrate their energetic system and allow the learning process to begin. Do not be concerned. It does not matter what another thinks or says or does. What matters is what the individual believes within oneself and what the individual knows and what the individual allows or disallows. Do not be concerned. When one moves forward, one moves forward, no matter how it is. It's like initiated. Do not be concerned, all is love.
That's a really good thing to make note of, because I think a lot of people think that someone could put a curse on you or, whatever, to know that on the soul level, you're in charge. And if your belief system says that that's possible, then you are allowing in some way that to be possible, but perhaps for your own growth so that you can learn empowerment and rise above and stand into your own power. Would that be fair?
If you believe there's a problem, there's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen people pay in, literally give their power to pay hundreds, thousands of dollars to someone who says they're going to make something go away, and then they have negative psychic phenomenon happen, hauntings, or they feel like it's possession or something. And it's like, well, they're so steeped in disempowerment and allowing someone else to have all of the power to the point where they like give their money, which on this plane is often an exchange of energy. I'm like, stop paying that person, and you have to do this. Like, you say these words, you create this new scenario for yourself. So yeah. Interesting.
We're the only ones that can actually do it for us. And I think when one goes to a channeler or to a medium, they're looking for support.
Yeah. In this case, I think the support they were looking for was like inauthentic and like kind of taking them for their money, which is unfortunate. Look, in every industry, you have the light and the dark.
Yes.
Which is probably why it makes people like us more nervous about stepping forward.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't usually think about those kinds of things. For me, it's just my own individual fear. If someone else has got a negative, labels themselves as a psychic and their negative ability there, or the way they portray it, it's like I don't usually pay attention to that, because I know what I know. I know who I am in regards to channeling. I know that it's of the light. I've set my boundaries as to who can and cannot come in. And I think when we do that, we're more secure in that which we do. I found that setting boundaries as to only of the light, highest and greatest truth, is like those types of things. Accuracy is important to me. Those types of things, you set those boundaries. Then if someone is out doing something of the nature that you're talking about, accepting money and for removing a curse that isn't there, I don't usually pay too much attention to that, so it doesn't really hold me back.
Yeah.
What holds me back is my fear, so I know that that's where I need to work. So
Yeah, I think for me in the past, what would hold me back is my fear of somebody, because their belief is in general that everyone is like that they would put me in that bucket.
but that's their problem. That's
I know, I'm over it, but like it was a real,
yeah.
actually I say I'm over it, but it does sneak in every once in a while.
Yeah.
And it sneaks in when I'm like reading about other people's experiences. I don't know. I'm too empathic, I guess, for that kind of stuff. Okay, well, so one more question that is going to cover hopefully 2 topics. Because I think, again, I feel like I know what the multitude is going to say, and we're talking about how energy affects us. So right now, a lot of people are following the Schumann resonance, right? The Earth's vibration. And they'll say things like, oh, no wonder why I'm feeling this way. It's the Schumann resonance is off the charts. And then likewise, they'll go to like a scalar energy healing place to receive healing through these waves. And that's just one example. There's all different kinds of energy healing tools out there, I guess. What does a multitude have to say about those types of experiences?
It is important to understand that each one is aware of those things that need to be healed, whether it be on the mental level or not. And each one allows oneself to experience those things that are right for oneself. If it is that one believes that one is affected by the earth's vibration, they are correct in one aspect, but not to the detriment of one's being. When one allows oneself to resonate with the energies, the positive energies of Earth, as there are really no negative energies of Earth, it is a matter of allowing oneself to move forward. When one believes that there is a process, a machine, or a something that is able to help them, perhaps that is the way it is best for them to learn. However, in our estimation, it is still what one will allow the energy to, it's like what one allows what energy to come through to them, since they are the ones responsible for healing themselves. If one believes that there is something out there that will help and support them, then that's fine. However, in our estimation, it is the energy of oneself that does the healing, the energy of one's own love that does the healing. No matter what it looks like on the earth plane, it is not always as it seems. Do not be concerned, all is love.
There's a little lag in there.
I don't know about either of those 2 things. I've heard about the scalar, but I don't really know what it is, and I don't know about the Schumann. So whatever it is that they said is like,
Yeah.
No.
Well, so what I got from that was, again, it comes back to the self, that like when it comes to like the scalar energy healing or a device that heals you, like a Healy device or something, right? That really what's happening is that the self is stepping into the allowing to be healed, and that energy is coming from within and not from outside of themselves.
That is, that is truth.
That is truth. Well, they don't usually say it that directly.
Yeah.
So that's good. It's a reminder that it is not outside of you. It's an inside job.
It's always an inside job. People are looking for ways to help themselves expand, but I don't think they understand that it comes, a lot of people don't understand that it comes from within first.
Right. And it's also good to know that the earth's vibration is not a detriment to the self. Because I think oftentimes what I think when people say things like that, it feels like there's an overcoming of victimhood that would be beneficial, or more probably better said, to just step into one's own power a little bit more.
Right. I haven't heard anybody talk about like the earth energy that way, but so my experience, I don't know, but I think I know that it's always an inside job.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I know I'm pushing it here, Ginny. I'm on my time. I know you've got all the time, but I just love doing this so much. Is there something they can share with us about the Earth's in meditation, visualize and connect to the Earth's core and gain energy that way?
Really?
I don't know if that is, yeah.
Really, you froze, so I don't know what you said. If
Oh,
there's something they can tell us about the earth, and then you froze.
okay. Hear me good now?
Uh, you're frozen.
Oh, you were frozen for a second.
I think maybe we should hold that question for another time.
Okay, good idea. That's our sign. All
Okay.
right. Thanks, Jenny. This was great. I
Yeah,
loved it.
yeah, thank you, Kelly. And thank
Yeah.
you everyone for tuning in and allowing us to um, expand our energy and share our knowledge and the multitude, of course. So
Yes.
thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
dude.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.